Good morning, fellow gardeners. Welcome to our Controlling Ants in Your Home and Yard workshop. This workshop is being presented by the Master Gardeners of Placer County. My name is Barbara Villarreal, and I will be your moderator today. Our presenter today is Brooke Moeller, who has been a master gardener since 2019 and is fond of gardening and always ready to share. I know, sorry. And she doesn't like ants. So Brooke, take it away.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you being here. As Barbara mentioned, I graduated in 2019, and shortly after that, I began to volunteer on what we call our hotline, or Ask a Master Gardener a Question. And the question about how to get ants out of people's homes came up on a continuous basis. So I decided to do some research provided by the university to find out what the best practices are to deal with these creatures. So I'm going to be sharing that information with you today. Of course, I haven't been immune to ant infestations. My first run-in occurred about 40 years ago when I was living in a funky old home in downtown Sacramento. One morning, I reached my hand into the shower to get it going, and the faucet was covered in ants, which was quickly transferred to my hand and my arm while I was mostly asleep. This began my lifelong dislike of ants. So you might be wondering, who are the Master Gardeners of Placer County? And what we do is we extend research-based, sustainable gardening and composting information that is accurate and impartial to home gardeners. And this is to encourage the public, you, to make informed gardening decisions. You can find us on social media and in special publications. Here's the number of the hotline to call if you have questions, or you can submit them online. Here's our website, pcmg.ucanr.org. And we have a Facebook presence, Twitter presence, and Instagram. We also provide a monthly column to the Gold Country Media. And our quarterly newsletter, which you can sign up for on our website, is called Curious Gardener. We also sell a gardening guide and calendar throughout the year at your favorite nursery. You'll also find us at different workshops, fairs, and festivals and special events. If you belong to a garden club and you'd like to have a speaker talk on a special topic, we have our Speakers by Request group. We do workshops such as this. You'll find us at the farmers markets in Auburn, Roseville, and Fowler Ranch, at different fairs and festivals like the Home and Garden Shows and the Mandarin Festival. In April, we partner with the city of Roseville to provide our garden fair and our fabulous Mother's Day garden tour. Here's a screenshot of our website, and over on the left, you'll see where you can join our email list to be notified of events that are coming up. And over there is on the left, below it, is the Curious Gardener newsletter, where you can sign up to see that and receive that in your email. And down over on the bottom left, you'll see where you can reach us on our hotline if you have a question that we can help you with. This is our agenda for today. We're going to talk about the common ants, how to identify them. We'll talk about the life cycle and the habits and how to manage them through identification, prevention, cultural, and chemical means. Ants are the most prevalent house and garden pests that we have in California. Ants need food and water, and that's what they are looking for when they come into our house. There's over 12,400 species worldwide, but only 270 in California. We're going to be talking about integrated pest management methods to be able to control ants. Integrated pest management is also called IPM for short. This approach encourages methods that provide long-term prevention or suppression of pest problems. They have a minimum impact on human health, the environment, and non-target organisms. A fundamental concept of IPM is that a certain amount of disease or bugs can be tolerated. It's not feasible that you think that you can remove them completely. The IPM approach uses identification of your ant, prevention of an infestation, using cultural practices, and as a last resort, chemical control. Identification of the ant will help you select the right attack, so that's where we're going to start. Ants are divided up into one node or two node ants. Over at the top, you can see the one node ant with the head and then the thorax or its chest. And there's the one node between the thorax and the abdomen. And down below, the same configuration, but with two nodes. The ant's body is constricted. It has a waist. Its hind wings are smaller than its front wings, and the winged female and worker ants have elbowed antennae. So we'll start with the Argentine ant, which is about 1/8 of an inch tall, long, and it's a dull brown colors. These are the ones that we see most in our home. They like sweets and proteins, and their nests are outdoors in shallow mounds. I do have to share a funny story at this point, because when I gave this presentation a week or so ago in Loomis at the library, I hadn't had any ants in my house. But within a day after I gave the presentation, I fed my dog, and then I went back in to clean up her bowl about an hour later, and it was covered in ants. And so just like that, they just showed up, little beasts. The carpenter ant is the second one, and it likes sweets. It's pretty large, especially compared to the Argentine. The workers vary from about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. They're black or bicolored red and black. They like sweets, and they nest in tree stumps, firewood deposits, sawdust like frass outside of its nest. The odorous house ant is small, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. It has a brownish black head, a red thorax, and it has a distinct odor when it's crushed. It likes sweets and proteins. You'll find its nests in shallow mounds in the soil or debris and indoors in wall voids around water pipes or heaters. The velvety tree ant, workers range from about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. They're brownish black, have a red thorax, and a velvety black abdomen. These two have a very distinct odor when they're crushed. Moving on to the two node ants, the first one is the pavement ant. I'm sure we've all seen those. They have nests under the in lawns and under stones, on boards, and mounds along the sidewalk or in foundations or near water. They like sweets and proteins and grease. The pharaoh ant, you can see this guy is much different color than all the rest of them. He's sort of a honey or yellow color, pretty tiny, 1/16 of an inch. They like fats, sweets, and proteins, not particular. You'll find their nests in walls or cabinet voids and behind baseboards and outdoors in debris. The red imported fire ant likes sweets and proteins. It nests in mounds with multiple openings in soils or lawns, and sometimes in buildings behind wall voids. They are pretty small, 1/16 of an inch to 1/5 of an inch. They're sort of reddish with a dark brown abdomen. The southern fire ant is 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. It likes proteins and sweets. It has a amber head and a thorax, a black abdomen, and golden hairs cover its body. The thief ant likes greasy and fatty foods and sometimes sweets. It'll steal food and ant larvae from other ants' nests. It nests outdoors in soil or under rocks, indoors behind wallboards or baseboards. So let's talk a little bit about the life cycle and the habits. Ants like to make nests next to the building or near food, such as honeydew producing insects like aphids. The queen lays her eggs, they hatch and they become pupa, then sterile adults. They dig out of that nest and they are hungry and thirsty. When they first come out of the nest, they have wings, and sometimes they can be mistaken as termites. But if you look at the difference between in the identification about the waist, you'll see that there is a difference. After a few years, the colony will produce winged females and the males, which will leave them and form new colonies. Well, besides being annoying, the velvety tree ants do bite, as do fire ants. The scales and aphids that produce honeydew will attract ants to that plant. Ants will protect them from their natural enemies. When I was doing research for this topic, I found that the ants will actually carry away the aphid larvae and protect them in their own nest when they're threatened by some type of disaster. So that's how important aphids are to ants. Fire ants infestation, there's a mound, a picture at the bottom that shows you what it looks like. And if you suspect you have a fire ant infestation, you should report it to our county agricultural commissioner, and that is how to contact that person down at the bottom. Well, it seems like ants are never happy with wherever they are. They want to come in if it's cold. If it's wet outside, they want to come in. They're hungry, they want to come in. And if they're thirsty, they want to come in. But let's talk about how we can keep them from coming into our home. As we've discussed, their primary motivation is to find a source of food and water. When you have plants, mulch, wood piles next to your home, it's an invitation to come in. You see how those plants are growing next to the windows and how those tree branches are touching the roof? These all provide access to your home, and you need to remember how to keep your kitchen clean. Ben Franklin once said, "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure." So put on your investigator hat and get out a good magnifying glass and regularly inspect your home for points of entry. The best time to do this is winter and spring, and because they're less abundant and easier to manage. Look for ants near attractive food and water sources. Look under your sinks, in the cupboards, along pipes and electrical wires. 1 or 2 ants are scout, and they're looking for opportunities. If possible, follow them back to where they enter the building and to their nest. Look indoors and outdoors for holes or cracks in the foundations or walls. Before caulking, you may want to apply products containing silica aerogel, sometimes combined with pyrethrins, such as evergreen pyrethrum dust, into the wall voids before sealing them up. Look for indoor nesting places too, such as potted plants. If you find them there, remove the containers from the building. Then place the pots in a solution of insecticidal soap. Use 1 or 2 tablespoons of soap per quart of water and let them soak for up to 20 minutes so that the plant is submerged, the soil is submerged by the water soap solution. Until the beasts are gone, try using petroleum jelly under the lip of your trash can. Ants have a hard time crossing that barrier. Place your pet food dishes in a moat of water. Keep food in closed containers. Clean up spills and food residue in the sink. Run the garbage disposal if you have one, and take out your garbage daily. Well, we all know we don't like ants, but they do provide some benefits to our soil and to our gardens. Ants eat dead things and that organic material to the soil. Those tunnels, remember the ant farms we had when we were kids? No, I didn't have one, but my brother did, and I didn't like them then either. Those tunnels cultivate and aerate the soil, and the channels help distribute water, and they eat other insects like fly larvae. But if they aerate the soil in and around the root ball too extensively, the water will pass through too rapidly to soak in, and the plants will wilt and they may die. Getting ants under control outdoors follows a lot of the same concepts. Trees and shrubs next to a building are an invitation, as is grass and mulch near the foundation. Fix the leaky faucet and pick up and remove fallen fruit. Check your plants for aphids, mealybugs, scales, and whiteflies, honeydew producers. Other techniques include planting native plants, which may be more resistant to pests. If you find ants on your plants, remove them by washing them off with a strong stream of water. If things have gotten too out of control, you may have to prune the limbs of the shrub. Tanglefoot is a sticky substance that you can apply as a barrier to the bark that will thwart ants' travel, but you may also catch unintended species. Pesticides should only be used when everything else has failed and the amounts of ants is reaching intolerable levels. Ant baits contain insecticides mixed with materials to attract ants. Ants take it back to the colony to share. These are slow acting to make sure that the ants get back to the colony. When used properly, they are safer and more effective than sprays. As we discussed earlier, ants may prefer certain types of bait, so you may want to try different types to see what they enjoy the most, sweets or proteins. A 0.5 to 1% borate product is the most effective insecticide for Argentine ants. Remember, these baits are slow acting, so ants will take them back to the nest and share. So it may take up to 2 weeks to see real results. Place at least one bait dispenser around each side of your home and in shady areas where ants trail. Place the baits where ants can find them easily, but they won't be found by pets and children. Check the stations to ensure they haven't dried up. In the photo is a picture of the KM Ant Pro that dispenses bait continuously. UC research has shown that this is very effective when properly installed and maintained outside the home. Some pest control companies will provide a perimeter spray. These perimeter treatments pose more of a risk to the environment upset than baits and are less effective than an IPM program. Pesticide is any material, natural or organic or synthetic, used to control, prevent, kill, suppress, or repel pests. Follow label instructions and use the least toxic product. Don't place pesticides in the trash until empty, and don't pour down the sink, toilets, or drains. Never reuse or burn the container. Take it to your local household hazardous waste collection site and follow all local regulations. If you have an ant emergency, here's what to do. Find the food source thereafter. Clean up any spills. Put pet food in a moat of water and remove the garbage. Wipe the trails with soapy water or window spray. If there's just too many ants, you can vacuum them up and then clean the trails with soapy water or window spray. Locate where they're coming from and caulk it or use petroleum jelly. After placing baits outdoors, remember it may take a week or more for them to go away. So keep cleaning as they reappear. And remember, do not use ant spray. In conclusion, identify the ant that you want to control. Don't try to eliminate them, just try to manage them. Keep your kitchen clean. Inspect the house perimeter and choose the right bait for your target ant. These are my references that you can check to get some more information. And here's some additional resources that'll give you some ideas of things to do in your garden as well. I appreciate you coming today. Thank you so much. And if you do have any questions, shoot us a phone call at our phone number, or else on our website, you can send it in that way too. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Brooke, for sharing your expertise on controlling ants in your home and yard. I'm pretty sure that all of us have experienced insects like this in our home and yard. We hope to see you at our future workshops. Be sure to periodically check our website, pcmg.ucanr.org. Bye now.